So features and benefits section. So now we've educated them on what's wrong with most tools. Now we're going to talk about what's great about Cutco. So we're going to have our petite carver, and you'll actually have one of these in your sample kit that you'll be able to hand to the customer. So you will hand this over to the customer, just like it says, hand customer petite carver. How does that feel in your hand? Great, and I usually say the reason it's so comfortable is because, and then I'll start talking about Cutco. So we have our own handle design. It's called the Universal Wedge Lock Handle. You won't see this design anywhere else. It was actually designed by industrial designer Dr. Thomas Lamb, who studied over 700 different pairs of hands to come up with that unique design. Yeah. So it's going to fit right hands, left hands, big hands, small hands. We call it the hand perfect handle because of that. And your thumb and forefinger lock into place. So see how it kind of locks those two front fingers in? That makes it a lot safer, gives you a lot more control, and just reduces hand fatigue as well. 65% of your cutting strength comes from your front two fingers when you're cutting. So by locking those in there in that groove, it really reduces hand fatigue. You ever write a really long paper and your hand gets tired? Same thing happens if you cook for a long time. Your hand gets really tired from all the chopping or cutting. And with Cutco, it doesn't happen because we have just really great handles. So I actually met a customer who had really bad arthritis, and literally he said the only knives he could use to cut his food was Cutco. So I was like, yeah, this guy almost had me in tears over the phone, crying over knives. But people really fall in love with this stuff. The handle material, instead of cheap wood or plastic, we use a really good material. Now, to keep the customer involved, I usually just say, oh, what do you think that's made out of? And I'll kind of hand it back to them, and then they'll say some random stuff. They never say thermoresin, so you'd say, oh, if you guess it right, I'll give you an extra chance to win $1,000 or something like that, right? But anyway, the material is called thermoresin, and it's really similar to what they make professional football helmets out of. It's also really similar to what they make bowling balls out of. So it's kind of like a bowling ball material for the handle. And it's tough, durable. It's not going to crack or chip or fade or splinter. You ever throw a bowling ball down the alley and it hits something really hard, like the pins, and it doesn't usually break, right? So it's really, really, it's all. You could probably drop this off the roof of your house and it would be fine. That's how strong Cutco is. So thermoresin is 80% stronger than your leading plastic, so it's really good. And it's completely non-porous, so it's very sanitary. It's not going to absorb any odors or moistures or bacteria or anything like that. It's also heat resistant up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's not going to melt easily. And it's dishwasher and detergent safe as well. So people love that. It's not often you get a high-quality knife that you can put in the dishwasher. So Cutco is really great because of that. It also has a full tang, so that means the blade goes all the way through. Triple rivet construction. So what's great about that is, it gives it a really good balance. So you can actually balance that front point there right on your fingers. So that's pretty cool. And the 3 nickel silver alloy rivets are much stronger than brass, so it's not going to pop out like that gold brass material that most people use. And the rivets are polished smooth with the handle for durability, strength, and comfort. So there's actually people at our factory where their 40-hour-a-week job is to be a professional rivet polisher. Imagine sitting in a stool all day, polish rivets. But the cool thing is they all love their job. Everybody in our factory, our management candidates, we actually go and tour the factory in November every single year. And you'll meet the factory workers, the ladies in the shipping and receiving department. All they do is bag the knives, but they are the happiest people ever. It's crazy, but they all love working there. And our factory is actually voted one of the top 10 places to work in New York State. We really take care of our workers. But I tell you the 40-hour-a-week professional rivet polisher thing because do you think other knife companies do that? No, not even the competition, not even the good stuff. They're literally that's the quality and engineering that goes behind our Cutco products. And then the steel that we use is really the best part about Cutco. It's high carbon stainless steel. So it has a lot of carbon in it, which holds the edge, but it also has that stainless component, so it's going to stay shiny as well. So it's really the best of both worlds. It stays sharp and it doesn't rust or corrode. It's also dishwasher and detergent safe. It's also a 440A steel, which is the ideal steel for cutlery. And it stays sharper longer than any other steel out there. This is a really similar steel to what doctors use in surgical equipment. So it's really, really good stuff. And the reason I go over all of those cool things about Cutco is obviously to get the customer excited about our products. But we're also letting them know that Cutco is not going to cost what normal knives cost. You know, like if something with wooden handles and stainless steel is cheap, well then we gotta like educate them on why Cutco is going to be more expensive, because at the end of the presentation we don't want them to be shocked by the price. We want them to be expecting that price. You know, did you ever like go to a store and you thought something was going to be, you know, really, really cheap, and then all of a sudden, like, it was costed more? It's like, that's never a good reaction, right? But there's probably been times where you get to the store and it's on sale, and you're like, oh, sweet, I'm getting 2 of those, you know? Like, we want them to have that reaction at the end. So the objective of this page, you can write at the top of page 3 here. It's really the objective of the features and benefits section in general, the whole first 2 pages here, is to answer the question for the customer: why does Cutco cost as much as it does? Why does Cutco cost as much as it does? By the way, these objectives, you don't like say these out loud at all to the customer. This is just so I can like teach you, you know, so you don't, you know, just leave it up there and don't mention it. But this is just so you know. So our goal of this page is, you know, by the end of the presentation, and really even by the end of this page, it should be like, okay, well, if they have the best handle in the world, the best design in the world, the best steel in the world, and the best, you know, triple rivet construction in the world, they're probably going to cost more than all the other knives, you know. So what we're doing is we're kind of, you know, hitting on the fact that like they're worth it, but they're going to be more, you know, expensive. So a great way to answer that question directly, I'm gonna have you write one little sentence at the bottom of page 3, and it'll probably take you like a few lines. So I'd write it like right below the where it says the last bullet, right below the very last bullet. You're gonna say. Because of these features and benefits, so at the very bottom, because of these features and benefits, Cutco cost a lot more. Because of these features and benefits, Cutco cost a lot more than ordinary knives. Because of these features and benefits, Cutco cost a lot more than ordinary knives. But everyone who owns them will tell you they're worth every penny. Because of these features and benefits, Cutco costs a lot more than ordinary knives, but everyone who owns them will tell you they're worth every penny. And then you want to tell a story. And you guys said you didn't know somebody who had Cutco yet, but all you have to do is tell the story about, oh yeah, some woman dropped into the office and she had her Cutco for 10 years. She said they were still sharp. Like, how crazy is that, you know? And that's awesome. So you want to have a story that you tell there. Now, once you bump into your own, you know, Cutco customers, people who already have them, you can definitely add some extra stories in there. Like, yeah, I bumped into this one woman who blah, 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 and I bumped into this other woman, and this woman stopped by my training, and she's had it for 10 years, and she loves them. And, you know, so you tell a couple stories there. The way it's not all coming from you, and it's really backed up by our customers. So that's page 3. Now, page 3 and 4 are both part of the features and benefits section. So the next page has that same objective. So go ahead and flip to page 4. And what we do here is we do a cutting comparison. We want to prove to them everything that we just said is true. So we're going to have the customer, it says, ask the customer to get their sharpest straight edge, and steak knife. So I just say, hey, Mrs. Jones, could you grab your sharpest straight edge, and steak knife? And she'll get up, she'll go to the kitchen drawer, she'll grab out a straight edge, serrated edge, and a steak knife. Now the steak knife's for later. We're going to use that on the leather, but we do a rope cutting test here with the rope and the knives. So it's written out. It says, Mrs. Jones, I'd like to do a cutting test. So once she gets back to the table, you're going to have your sample kit bag with you, and you pull out a piece of rope like this. And you'll say, I'd like to do a cutting test. We're going to use rope because it won't harm the knives, and it gives a really good comparison. And then you'll grab your cutting board. You'll just get a little volunteer. So I will have the customer first. Which knife do we use first? So you got it. So there's a cutting order right there on the page. So we're going to use their straight edge first. So I'll hold the rope. So as the representative, you hold the rope. You have the customer cut the rope. So go ahead and start at the very back of the edge. You want to make sure they start all the way at the back. Yep. And then press hard. All the way to the back. Press hard. Count the number of strokes. So 1.
I'm all the way through?
Yep. You can go back and forth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We actually got this knife from a customer. They traded it in for a discount on Cutco, so you can see why. Yeah. So all right, you can stop there. So you'll see with a straight edge knife, it's like not even cut at all anymore, right? Because that's stainless steel, and that's what happens, you know. So it goes really, really dull, like that. Now this one should be a little better. So start all the way at the back. Press hard with your serrated knife, back and forth. 1, 2, 3. It's only like 3 that time, right? Now 3, but you hear how loud it is? It's because it kind of rips and tears. So what I point out as I'm going over the knife cutting, it has a diagram down here at the bottom. I actually go over that like while I'm cutting the rope. So I usually say, so your straight edge knife, see how it's always going to need resharpening? It's like, well, that's a pain. And then with their serrated knife, I'm like, hear how loud it is? It kind of rips and tears, and you actually can't resharpen that. So although it's still cutting like kind of good now, and by the way, 3 is like kind of good, you know. So you want to think about it like a car. If you put the key into the ignition and you had to turn it 3 times for the engine to turn over, would you say that it was working properly? No, it's like so that it should be 1 every time. So anyway, so after they do that, you have them use Cutco. So start at the very back again, press hard, pull all the way towards you. Oh, check that out. It's like half the blade. How easy is that, right? And it's important that you're excited when they cut the rope. Like after your 1000th time cutting the rope, like you're not going to be, you know, as excited when you see it happen. But for the customer, it's probably the first time they've ever seen it. So it's important that you do that. By the way, if they already have Cutco, I usually will have them use their Cutco on the, like if they only have one Cutco knife and they say that that's their sharpest, like I want to get them to replace all their other knives with Cutco, so I'm going to use those on the rope. But if they have like a full set of Cutco already, I'm just going to pick out like 2 of those, use those on the rope, and that way if they're a little bit dull, you can actually give the customer, you'll see the next page is the guarantee page, you can give them like the customer service phone number, be like, yeah, since it didn't go through in 1 like mine, you can actually get those sharpened for free, Mrs. Jones, and then give them the number. Well, now that customer's like, wait, I can get them sharpened for free. They probably forgot. Like, they probably bought them 10 years ago. And so now they're like, wait, I can get all my knives sharpened for free? This Cutco stuff's awesome. I should buy some more of it, right? And that's just a great thing you can, plus you like get the knife sharpened for them. So it's a great thing you can do for them. Now, if it still goes through in 1, you can still have that great selling point of saying, oh, well, see how it still goes through in 1, even though, how long ago did you say you bought them? 6 years ago? Wow. Do you think any of your other knives last that long? Definitely not, right? So it helps you out either way, you know. So it'll probably go through in 1. Cutco does stay sharp so long because that steel that we have and that edge that we have. And the best thing about Cutco, you're going to go through in 1 stroke, and then you're going to say, see how it makes a really clean cut? I usually hold the rope up. And it can be resharpened, unlike a serrated knife. So Cutco is actually not serrated. We actually have, and then I go into so it says Cutco is not serrated. And then I'm going to go into the description. I use this diagram right here on the page to help out for that. So the double D edge zoomed in right here. So if you want to turn your blue book there, that'll help. So I'll go over this diagram. So I'll say it actually is not serrated. It doesn't rip and tear at your food. It has 3 blades in between each of the 2 points, and then I point to the 3 arrows. So 3 blades in between each of the 2 points. One's going to cut forward, 1 cuts backward, and 1 cuts straight down. So it cuts faster, cleaner, easier, finer than any other edge. And the points protect the edges rather than being the edges. So it doesn't go dull when it hits the cutting board or plate. Can you see how that would save you a lot of time in your kitchen? Yeah, right. And that's a yes question. You want to ask lots of yes questions. Get the customer in the habit of saying yes. Can you see how it would save you time in your kitchen? Yes. If I threw you a life jacket and you were drowning, would you grab it? Yes, right? So that's from The Boiler Room. That's a random movie reference. But anyway, so anytime you want somebody to agree with you, this is a great technique you can use, not just here, but everywhere. You just want to smile and nod. So if you want somebody to agree with you, so I always just say, can you see how this would save you a lot of time in your kitchen? And they're going to say, yeah, right? So, and they just start doing it before they even say yes. They'll just start doing it. If you don't believe me, try it out on your way home. At some point on your way home, you're going to come to a traffic light. There'll be a car next to you at that traffic light. I want you to look over at that car and just kind of smile and nod. Now, at first, they're going to look at you like, yeah, what's wrong with you, you know? But after a few seconds, you'll see them go, And they'll just slowly start to nod along with you. And if you can get that customer, or well, that person to agree with you through 2 window panes of glass, and they don't even know what they're agreeing to, imagine what you can do face to face with a product like Cutco directly in front of the customer at their home, So now hopefully they don't follow you home after that, but they do go around the block all the time, Anyway, so they don't know what you're nodding about, right? So that's kind of how we do it, and that's how we go over this page here. So it's important that you spend a lot of time on the double D edge. We want them to know that Cutco is not serrated, it's double D, because serrated you can't resharpen, and Cutco you can resharpen. Plus, because of Cutco using this edge, that's why we stay sharp so long, because the points are protecting all of the edges rather than being the edges. Whereas a serrated knife, the teeth, those are sharp, they rip and tear. Cutco teeth are dull, they protect the edges that do the cutting. So it's kind of like 3 little mini razor blades in between. One cuts forward, backward, down. So I do all those analogies for the customer too. So I really spend a lot of time going over the double D edge and let them look at it. Like compare their serrated knife, the ones with all these little teeth. Compare that, like hold it up next to Cutco, and they'll be able to see the edges in between. And these, you can tell the teeth kind of poke you. Like ours don't at all. But if you were to you slice yourself with all those little razor blades, So Cutco's really sharp. So that's how we go over the features and benefits. So let's go ahead through that here. So you're going to do 3 and 4. When we get to the rope cutting, we're not going to get out the rope and stuff. I just want you guys to practice like sawing each other's pens in half with the other person's pen. So you just kind of here, try this one out first, and start at the back, press hard, count the number of strokes, and just kind of do some pretending on that. We'll do some real rope cutting on the 3rd day, obviously. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll move on from there.